I'm James Swartz, managing attorney with Swartz and Swartz. Swartz and Swartz was involved with toy safety decades ago, in the late 70s, when there were really no regulations to speak of. The Consumer Product Safety Commission, which is the federal agency now charged with ensuring safe products in the marketplace, including toys, didn't exist. But at that time, we were at the forefront of identifying toy hazards and injuries that could occur to children from those hazards. And so for all these decades since then, we've been out at the forefront educating the public, representing injured children in lawsuits and protecting the interests of families against major corporations that design and sell these toys. So over the years, while regulations have improved, and now, as mentioned, there is the existence of a federal agency to oversee these products, unfortunately, there's still a lot to be aware of. A lot of concerns about toys in the market, a lot of hazards that still can cause serious personal injury or even death. So what are some of those hazards to look out for? Certainly at the top of the list, perhaps, are small parts. Toys that have parts that can separate, that can break off, that have the potential to cause choking injuries and even death or brain damage. These are horrific injuries, and these types of toys are often sold for babies, for infants. And so a lot of parents and caregivers might not even realize that they're buying a toy that has the potential for this kind of deadly result. So know what to look for when you're purchasing these toys for your child in terms of these small parts. Tug on those parts as best you can, even when the instructions or warnings or cautions might not include any issues associated with small parts. Really inspect those toys carefully. Other hazards that might exist, projectiles. Projectile toys that fire bullets or other hard pieces at a high velocity have the potential to cause serious eye injuries. So when you see a toy like that with warnings all over the packaging about that potential, or about keeping the toy away from small children or pointing it away from eyes or faces, pause and really understand what those hazards are that the manufacturer is trying to communicate to you. Is it really worth the risk in purchasing that toy and handing it to your child? Other hazards to be aware of: long cords. Oftentimes toys sold for small children have cords in excess of 12 inches in length. What a lot of parents and caregivers don't realize is that there actually is a regulation in place which bans toys with cords of that length when they're called crib toys. But if, for example, a manufacturer sells a toy with that type of cord that's in excess of 12 inches and calls it, let's say, a pull toy, then that toy technically, under the current regulations, can be sold. So it's a matter of classification by the manufacturer. So understand, regardless of what the toy is called or how it's classified, if it's a toy that's going to be in the hands of a small child or a baby, stay away from it if it has a cord that long. Hair and fur on toys, a lot of parents might not realize, presents the potential for serious aspiration or ingestion injury. So toys that are sold for babies often don't have warnings with that kind of hair or those kinds of parts on them. So don't hesitate to test a toy by tugging, by pulling, seeing if there are items like hair that might not be properly rooted that could be ingested by a baby. So really check those toys out carefully. When you purchase a toy that's battery operated, is it for a small child, and are those batteries properly and securely encased in the toy? There's a potential for severe burn injuries or even ingestion injuries when batteries are included in toys for small children. Inconsistent labeling or non-existent labeling. is a big problem still. So when you buy a toy, the packaging will have certain instructions, maybe even warnings on it. But what you might not realize is, until you get home, let's say, that inside the packaging, there could be additional warnings on a package insert that might not have even been on the package itself. And so your job as a parent, as a caregiver, in terms of determining what's safe for your child, doesn't stop with just reading the packaging. Make sure you get into that packaging when you get home. Read what's inside. The manufacturer may feel that there are some important cautions and instructions for whatever reason that aren't included on the outside of the toy or the packaging. And on the toy itself, by the way, as well. So read those cautions and warnings carefully, wherever they're located. Finally, check the Consumer Product Safety Commission website for recalls. Oftentimes, there are recalls that occur for defects that are not easily discernible. So it could be things like chemicals in toys or lead content. So there are a lot of recalls like that that occur year to year, and sometimes even millions of units of toys are recalled. So check the government website, cpsc.gov, see what's been recalled, because that can be at least an important starting point for understanding the types of defects that are out there. So if you have a question about whether a toy is defective and whether a defective toy caused an injury to your child or a loved one, please contact us. We can answer your questions and help.